Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome into the NFL opening line report, first of the offseason. We're doing a little recap of the Super Bowl and taking a look ahead towards the NFL futures betting markets. I'm Drew Martin, and like always, joined by Teddy Covers. Teddy, day after the Super Bowl, buddy. How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. I felt like I lost a couple of years off my life yesterday with Casey, a big play on Kansas City, big ticket. And my thought, if you read the write-up, my thought was that Philly's defense is not going to hold up to a dynamic attack. And it didn't. When all was said and done, Philadelphia, no sacks, no turnovers forced, and they couldn't get off the field on first down, and they couldn't get a stop when it mattered most. So from that element of the handicap, I got it right. I don't know that I got it right about Jalen Hurts was amazing. He was amazing. I really thought, and look, I was reading some Football Outsider stuff after the game, and they were saying that even though the game was real tight, that their metrics had Kansas City as the clearly better team, and they should have been the favorite, and et cetera, in terms of how the game played out. And my thought process was that Mahomes was throwing to wide open receivers, and Jalen Hurts wasn't. And that's why the grades graded out better for Kansas City in terms of their receiving core. That said, Jalen Hurts was amazing yesterday. Amazing on the ground, amazing through the air. I thought he was the MVP of the game, even though they lost. And I know you can't give it to anyone but Mahomes off that win. But Jalen Hurts was the best player on the field in yesterday's game. But Philly's defense obviously was not. And if you're playing those alternate totals, let's see. I'm looking. I got so many grades right here. We'll go through a lot of these props. What happened? But the highest total that I saw, over 66.5 at plus 550 pre-kickoff. That was at the Westgate, and obviously plus 550. Easy peasy. I had the second quarter and the fourth quarter, both. I had two separate bets. Each, the small on my prop report. The second quarter to be higher scoring than the first quarter, and the fourth quarter to be higher scoring than the first quarter. And the first quarter goes touchdown. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah,
I'm in trouble. And they ended up both cashing. Second quarter was higher scoring, and fourth quarter was higher scoring. So we got there. Wild game. Certainly, when it comes down to the finish, and we should talk about how the game ended, obviously, where 58 minutes of compelling football and then 2 minutes of taking a knee and waiting for a field goal attempt after with a Kansas City ticket in my pocket. I can't argue with the penalty call. If you watch the replay, if you listen to Bradbury, you can't argue with the penalty call. But that game turned on a penalty, a single penalty. And even with the Kansas City ticket in my pocket, they hadn't been calling the game that way all game. So when you see them calling that way inside, at the end when the game matters most, it's just not a good look. I didn't, for as much as I enjoyed not having to sweat the final drive, just get the game-winning field goal, let's get it over with. From that could have been the greatest game in the history of football if Philly gets the last shot with the ball. And they didn't because of a penalty. It was a penalty, but the game wasn't called that way throughout. So I don't know how you, was it right? Was it wrong? I don't know, Drew. But the bottom line is the game wasn't officiated. It frustrates me in any league when the game gets called this way for however many minutes, and then now the refs are going to call it differently. And to see the game called differently inside, when it mattered most, it's not great. Great for my pocket.
Yeah, hey, a little Monday morning quarterback, and nothing wrong with that, Teddy. As it did finish 38-35. You talked about kind of not going in for the touchdown, and I guess it was the smart play to do and to kick the field goal, because then you would give Philadelphia, if you did go in for the touchdown, a chance to win the game. So it does finish 38-35. The underdog in the Kansas City Chiefs win outright as the plus 1.5 is at what it closed at most sports book. Total, never really in doubt, Teddy. You talked about it, touchdown to start. I had punt before score for both teams, so and those props went down in flames right at the beginning. But yeah, the over I felt like was the money bet here, Teddy. But I guess starting to recap it overall, man. 38-35. Were you surprised by anything? Did anything shock you in the Super Bowl?
So I guess I was surprised it was all touchdowns. Touchdown. The red zone, neither red zone defense was able to get stops, and KC in particular was really efficient in the red zone. Whereas Philly settled later on for a couple of field goals, the one before halftime, and then the one that I thought was the crucial point of the game, where they went up 27-21 instead of going back up by double digits, and then obviously KC with back-to-back scores. To take an 8-point lead. But when it comes to what we were surprised by, I mean, there's a handful of things. There's always going to be a handful of things you're surprised by. I want to do a little recap from a bookmaker perspective. Here's the quote from MGM Resorts Director of Trading, Lamar Mitchell, quote, "It was a substantial win for the house. It was one of our better days of the football season." Of course, Nevada sportsbooks have won 31 times in the last 33 years since the Gaming Control Board started tracking it in 1991. And yesterday, another pretty good day for the house. Now there was lots of money on the over. All right. Chuck Esposito from the Red Rock, quote, "The over was not good. The Eagles and over would have been the worst case scenario. So getting the Chiefs to win was good from our side of the counter." So it was clear that even though there was some late money over the last 24 hours before kickoff, the books were still somewhat sided on Philadelphia money. So the Kansas City result, fairly good for the house. From a prop standpoint, what did we see yesterday in terms of the big plus price props hitting? We saw defensive or special team score again, like has been so consistent in the Super Bowl. That was a plus price. It was a 2-point conversion made and attempted, both of which were plus price. But obviously there was no safety. There was no OT. Those are always the big plus price ones that the Joes tend to gravitate towards. One of the plus price props that I bet against, I bet under 2.5 players with a pass attempt in this ball game. I'm like, with these two QBs, we're not going to see another. And then, of course, Henny had a chance to get in the game before halftime. I'm like, no. But he didn't get in. And all was well. That ended well with that prop. But that was a plus price prop that was very attractive for many bettors that didn't come through. But, I mean, we can go through so much of this stuff. I didn't even see. Was the opening coin toss heads or tails? I didn't even pay attention to that because I don't bet it. Neither team scored 3 straight times. That was a plus price that cashed. You talked about the first score of the game. I had no first score in the first 6 minutes. That wasn't good. And obviously, both teams scored before they punted. Will either team score in the final 2 minutes of the first half? The yes comes through in there. Will either team score in the last 3 minutes of the game? The yes comes through here. Will either team score in the last 2 minutes of the game? The yes comes in there. Missed extra point kick was a no. Will both teams make 33 or longer yard field goals? A no got in there. Total sacks stayed well under the total. Hurts got sacked twice. Mahomes, the end of the game with a clean uniform. That vaunted Philly pass rush wasn't there throughout the course. And again, an Eagles defense that couldn't create a turnover and couldn't put pressure on a QB. And those KC receivers on those short routes were wide open again and again. That's why Philadelphia lost this ballgame. Jalen Hurts goes over. Jalen Hurts gets the anytime touchdown. No other Philadelphia back went over the total. Gainwell, Sanders, Scott all stays under in carries, all stayed under in yards. None of them scored a touchdown. For Kansas City, it was all Pacheco and Mahomes. McKinnon got the third catch, 3 for 15, and he also rushed for 34 yards. He got there. Sky Moore touched the ball as well. Over under 8.5 total players to run the football. They got to 8. We did not see Edwards Helaire. That was the guy that a lot of people were expecting to get that. Be the 9th guy to get the carry. He did not I don't know if he saw the field in that contest. I know he didn't show up in the box score. So those from a yardage standpoint, Travis Kelce, 6 receptions, 81 yards, depending on where you got it. That was it. If he talked about McKinnon going over, I had Kadarius Toney over, and he was pretty much, he had the punt return. That was the difference of the huge play in that ballgame. He only had 1 catch for 5 yards. He stayed under, and that was a big steam prop as well. Tons of money came on Toney over receptions. Tons of money came on him over yards, and he didn't get to either one. Longest touchdown of the game goes over. Shortest touchdown of the game, under 1.5 yards, goes under right on that first drive. Devonta Smith goes over. A.J. Brown goes over and gets the anytime touchdown. Dallas Goedert, that's one that was right around yards, I believe, when all was said and done. Under 7.5 punts comes through with room to spare. Williams missed field goal cashes in that one. He only had 4 punts between the two teams for the game. And my handicap that it was going to be a relatively low possession game, that was a big part of my thought process with my props. It was a relatively low possession game. But of course, the 2 biggest plays, the punt return and the defensive score, that was the difference in the ballgame, were those 2 plays. In my opinion, certainly it's very hard. You talk about a defense, a non-offensive score in any game, Drew, difficult to overcome when it comes to a point spread. And that was essentially 2 non-offensive scores. I know they didn't score the touchdown on the punt return, but they got in a few plays later. Essentially 2 non-offensive touchdowns for Kansas City that made all the difference in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you, Teddy. The special teams and the defensive score, in my opinion, was the difference in the game. And when you look at punt returns, Tony, 2 punt returns for 77 yards? He had that 65-yard punt return, really changed the game there. I'm with you. Those were 2 huge plays that just the Eagles couldn't really overcome. And when we look at some stats, I mean, Jalen Hurts, to your point, 27 of 38, over 300 yards passing with a touchdown. And when you look at his rushing stats, 15 carries for 70 yards. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground. I'm with you as well. You could make the argument he should have won the MVP even though they lost. It's just the big plays went Kansas City's way. That's the way I would kind of cook it up for everyone.
Hurts was the best player on the field yesterday. Okay, and you ask anyone, if Philly gets to 35, are they going to win? Is Hurts going to be MVP if Philly gets to 35? And you would think that he was. And I understand you can't give it to him off of what Mahomes did, even though Mahomes stayed way under his passing yards, and Mahomes was throwing to wide open receivers. Dallas Goedert had about 3 catches yesterday. You're like, how the frick did he do that? Devonta Smith had 1, and the other one got overturned. He had a couple that were unbelievable. Mm-hmm. The touchdown to A.J. Brown was one of several ridiculous catches that he had. That was a tough catch at the end zone, man. He was 2 guys right there. Admittedly, the defender kind of made a wrong move on the play that allowed him to get there. But the bottom line is Philly's receivers made plays all game. They really did. I thought they were remarkably good in that contest. But when all was said and done, McKinnon smart enough to slide down. Remember, so that play at the very end of the ball game where Philly says, all right, we're going to let Kansas City run into the end zone, and Kansas City, so we get the ball back. Mm-hmm. Similar to what we saw at the very end of the Packers-Broncos Super Bowl in 1990. That was January 98 off the 97 season Packers. Come on, you remember that one, Drew? Where they let Elway in. They let Elway in Green Bay score so that they would get the ball back with timeouts. And the Broncos did score in that instance. In this instance, Kansas City was coached up enough not to score on that play. It was like a bizarre slow motion play. I was watching with my son, and he's like, Dad, what just happened there? He didn't get it. I'm like, well, the one team didn't want to score, and the other team wanted them to score, but it's backwards from what it normally would be. But the fact that McKinnon was smart enough, took the coaching that he got, and felt that it looked like he might go out of bounds by accident, to fall in bounds and let the Chiefs take a knee and kick the game-winning field goal. And, of course, Butker had already missed the field goal. Will there be a missed field goal? Yes. Butker already missed the field goal once. Over under 3.5 field goals. He got the third. He didn't get the fourth. Stays under 3.5 field goals, although Philly over 1.5 made field goals does cash.
We got a bunch of people in the chat box here, Teddy, for the first off-season NFL opening line report. Guys, we'll take a look ahead towards the futures market. Paco Healy in the house asking if you can give a rundown of the handle, Teddy. Abby Jackson saying she's just getting over her Super Bowl hangover. Abby, I've always said today should be a holiday. The day after the Super Bowl should be America's Day, Teddy. I feel like some politician should run on that, man. And we got Paul Blakeney from the other side of the pond saying, hey, guys, shout out from Essex, England. So welcome in, guys. Please smash that like button. Feel free to fire away any questions we'll get to, and we'll take a look ahead towards the futures market here shortly. Teddy, anything else you wanted to kind of recap from the Super Bowl, man, before we hit the futures?
You had 3 comments there, and one of them was a question, and I spaced on it. You remember which?
Oh, the handle. Paco was just
the handle.
asking if you could.
I haven't heard any handle reports yet. Well, that should come out at some point. I'm not sure it comes out later today or tomorrow, but I haven't heard yet. I'm assuming that year in, year out, we're going to approach or exceed records. Certainly from a nationwide standpoint, in terms of legalized, regulated, we're going to set records for this year. I'm confident when you add it all up. But for Nevada, I have not yet heard. And I expect it within the next 24 hours. Usually, I don't remember if it comes out Monday or Tuesday. I think it comes out on Tuesday, so it might not be till tomorrow till we hear that. But again, I gave you a couple of quotes at the top from a couple of sportsbook directors in town talking about how they did, and they were very pleased. They were they were like the cat that ate the canary last night. They were real happy when it comes to those sportsbook quotes. But I don't have the numbers in play. I do know, again, that there was more public money on Philly than there was on Kansas City, but I don't have a sense of how much more money. All I know is the basic reports that the books did well on the side, and as usual, they did well on the props.
Teddy, taking a look ahead at some of these futures, of course, the Chiefs and the Eagles, number 1 and number 2. I'm seeing them around plus 500 here for the Chiefs, plus 700 for the Eagles, followed by the Bills at plus 800, as are the 49ers. Then the Bengals plus 900. Those are all the kind of triple digits, if you will, in terms of futures markets here. And then, all the way towards the bottom, we get the Commanders plus 7,500, the Cardinals 100 to 1, Texans 150 to 1. What are your thoughts here? First kind of look at the NFL futures market, Teddy.
Okay, let me make this very clear. I do not recommend making a bet on this market right now. This is for discussion purposes only. The vast majority of these wagers will still be available at comparable prices 6 months from now. Why let the books hold your money all that time? So my discussion of the future market is theoretical. It is not, I'm recommending these type of wagers. Let me start with this. If I'm making a bet right now, and if this is something I'm actually going to bet, the only part of the board I'm looking at is the right part. I don't want any of the more likely teams to get there. I want the longer shots, okay? Because the longer shots, what I'm looking for is a team that's maybe 1 or 2 players away from being a contender. You want to do that maybe before the draft and maybe before free agency. A team like the Jets. Oh, but the Jets are on the left-hand side of the column. Jets are a quarterback away. They got Aaron Rodgers, like the rumors are wild about, and that 25 to 1 is going to be more like a 12 to 1, or a 15 to 1. There'll be money for the Jets. So if you can try to predict some of these type of moves, there's a chance. Now, you look at a team like the Bears, all right, at the bottom of the standings this year. They have a quarterback in play. They have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. They have as much salary cap room as any in the NFL this year. I don't think Chicago is going to win the Super Bowl. All right, don't. But 75 to 1, there's dumber bets to make. The Lions are 33 to 1. Detroit, how far away is Detroit from making a run? Talking about that division. It's not like Minnesota's a juggernaut. It's not like Green Bay, as on paper, is a juggernaut. There's room in that NFC North for a team like Chicago or Detroit to get there. Denver is an interesting choice. There are folks out there that like Sean Payton and the addition of Sean Payton to that squad, and certainly on paper, the Broncos have been underachievers in each of the last couple of seasons. I'm not convinced Russell Wilson's going back to any Super Bowls anytime soon, but there are dumber bets to make than the Broncos in that range. So a handful of teams to talk about. When it comes to the very bottom, the Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, the Arizona Cardinals, the Washington Commanders, the Tennessee Titans, the Seattle Seahawks, Carolina. I don't see any of those teams. Chicago 75-1. You want a long shot? There's dumber bets than Belichick at 55-1. The rumor has it he's building towards this next year, and New England's a team that at 55-1. To me, that number looks a little bit high. That's just Atlanta has no quarterback, and they're more than one player away. Falcons are the type of team I would look more like, will they make the playoffs? One of those type of plus price bets. I don't know if I want Atlanta at 55-1 either. So there's some little thoughts. But again, let me make this clear. I didn't bet any of these. I'm not betting any of these right now. We're just talking.
Yeah, I like that. Well said, Teddy. And, just to add on, maybe the one kind of angle I would go off of, guys, in betting these futures is what Teddy touched on, just kind of trying to front run some of these moves in the NFL kind of trade market. If Aaron Rodgers does go to the Jets, that 25-1 there, Jets roster was pretty good, Teddy. And if they could add him, who knows what their ceiling is. So if you want to play one of those, I don't hate it. But like Teddy's talking about, I mean, just the hold time right now, inflation being high, I don't know. I think that all adds into it's tough to let them hold your money for that long when most of these numbers are going to be there towards the start of the NFL campaign. So I thought that was well said, Teddy. We do have some questions, man. I don't know if you want to get the questions right now or
yeah, sure.
More future stuff.
Absolutely. Look, I mean,
okay.
I can go, I'm much more interested in the season win total marketplace. As soon as I see season win numbers, I promise you we'll talk about them. This is the season finale for this year for the opening line report. That said, Drew and I will do a handful of shows when events merit throughout the spring and summer months. And one of the things I love to do is show, we do a couple of shows when the season win comes up. We do 1 week, we'll focus on AFC. The next week, we'll focus on NFC. So we will do that. Although this is the season finale for here. Whatever questions we got, go. I'm happy to answer.
Okay. Yeah, guys, Teddy covers Drew Martin NFL opening line report here. If you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Teddy, we have Jay Gautier saying, what did you think about some of the reviews in the game? Any calls you felt shouldn't have been overturned from a booth review? I would say the Devontae Smith one. You brought it up, the Eagles receiver going down the sideline. I thought that was a catch, Teddy. I was surprised that they overturned that. I would throw that one out there. Any others?
So at first glance, it looked like a catch. When you watch the replay slow, the ball juggled in his hand, so he only got the 1 foot down before the other foot went out of bounds. I thought that one did deserve to be overturned. But with so many of these booth reviews and so many of this stuff, it's I get the concept of trying to get it right. All right. If it's not, in my mind, a clear and egregious error, they should give a booth review like 30 seconds. If it's a clear mistake, you change it. Otherwise, it's a go. And the fact that, the basketball reviews are now making me the craziest because they take forever. There's no time limit on it, and then they don't go to commercial. I mean, you sit there with the reviews, and the last minute of a basketball game can take 25 minutes as one review after the next. It's ridiculous. The NFL at least has a time frame on it, but a lot of the reviews are random. A lot of the results off the reviews are random. The Smith catch / non-catch I thought was reasonable to overturn, but if I had my review, if I was king for a day and got to make, that play probably wouldn't be overturned.
I'm with you,
Does that
Teddy.
make sense?
I just, I don't feel like there was enough there to overturn it. But, and to your point, I feel like sometimes even in basketball, especially, it's kind of like the reviews are a little bit too much of the game. I mean, if it's a big time, it needs change. Okay, let's change it. But other than that, like, let's let it roll a little bit. I kind of am on that side of the argument as well. We got Rick in here saying, was the Gronk prop really a pre-recorded commercial? That would be attributed to a box score. So not sure if you have anything on that, Teddy. Also, Dallas Gobbert over 5.5 receptions. Did that one surprise you from Abby Jackson?
Got there in the end. It didn't look good for Goddard but it got there when all was said and done. I can't say it surprised me. I wasn't in action on the Goddard prop, so I can't say that I was particularly surprised. And what was the first question there, Drew? I'm sorry, I'm a little bit, it was a long day yesterday, man.
Yeah, the Super Bowl hangover. I get it. Yeah, the Goddard over, and then about the Gronk pre-recorded commercial.
Yeah. I don't know if that was that live. I'm assuming that was pre-recorded, right? You can't do that live. Of course it was pre-recorded. Somebody knew something somewhere. But that wasn't a prop. Again, that wasn't a prop you could bet here in Nevada. So it's not anything that I paid attention to. I know someone liked it to go through. But I'm like, a field goal, a non-kicker under pressure kicking a field goal. But that was all taped and put in play. So, I don't think that was – but that wasn't live, was it? That couldn't have been live. I actually didn't see the commercial when it went, so I don't know.
I'm not sure either. We got which teams did better on win totals for the season, the overs or the unders. I guess win total question here, Teddy. And also, I have a question for you. When will the season win totals be out? Is this a market that, one sports book kind of leads the way? Is there a day they have circled here? Any information on that?
We'll see some book post something maybe this week. But in terms of a broader market, as we approach the draft, as we get into free agency, that's when the market, one thing that I never do is put up a play, before the market's at least somewhat mature. Unduly affect the numbers with the release. But, again, we see books starting to post them within a matter of weeks. And then as we get towards the draft in April, and particularly after the draft, everyone's going to have numbers up. But we'll see numbers well before then.
Yeah, Teddy covers season win total report, guys. Going to want to look out for that on WagerTalk and Sports Memo coming out. It's one of the best records I've seen out there, guys. What a 20-year track record here, Teddy. But yeah, go ahead, man.
Sure, we split this year, and I was pissed off that I split this year. I thought that there were times during the season I thought I was going to do better, and like everything that I left off won. It was kind of a frustrating report. The question was, this year, were there more overs or unders? I believe the final tally was 16 overs, 13 unders, 3 pushes. Might have been 16, 14, and 2. I can't remember if it was 16, 13, and 3 or 16, 14, and 2. There were more overs this year. That has not been the historical norms. What happened this year was that a lot of the bad teams were pretty bad. Hence, all the unders. More overs cashing than unders because the teams that went under stayed way under the total. Your Houstons, your Indies, your Denvers, your Vegas, the Bears stayed way under. The Arizona and LA, the Rams, there were lots of teams that stayed way under their win totals, which allowed more teams to sneak over. The historical norm is more unders cash than overs. Bettors want to play overs. The market's tilted slightly to the over. Any tie counts, doesn't help you in any way. So historically, you tend to see at least some bias in the market towards betting unders. That wasn't the case this year. This year, if you blindly bet every over, you made a lot more money than you did if you blindly bet every under. But that has not been the historical norm.
NFL season win totals. We got Teddy covers, guys. He's hot right now. 18-9, 67% college hoops run. He was 60%. He is 60% in 2023. Number one WagerTalk all basketball last calendar year here in both win percentage. In 69 and 43, all 4% plays. 54 and 30, all 5% big ticket plays since May 2021. So check them out. WagerTalk, sportsmemo.com. Guys, we will have the NFL opening line report throughout the offseason. What, Teddy? I'm thinking before the draft, maybe the day after the draft for season win totals. We'll be here sporadically through the offseason. But, Teddy, I don't know, anything else you want to throw out before we shut this one down?
Yeah, so we don't want to go every week at this time of the year. There's, I don't want to waste anybody's time. When there's new info, when anything comes up, when the markets give us something to analyze, Drew and I will be here to analyze it for you. And hope you guys had a great season. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day every week. It was, I missed a show this year. Every week but one. I don't usually miss any. So I really appreciate all the support that we've gotten, and plan to do it again for the 2023 season. So thank you. Hope you got on board with KC yesterday. It was a profitable Super Bowl Sunday, and best of luck.
Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Wes, appreciate you guys. Thanks for the great info all year. Well, Wes, we appreciate you commenting here, Jeff as well. And feel free, guys, to drop a line below in the reply section on the YouTube channel here, the WagerTalk YouTube channel, and we will answer it on the next NFL opening line report. For Teddy Covers, I'm Drew Martin. Please smash that like button. Cash those tickets, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.